America, we are back, baby. Welcome to another episode of America Unfiltered with James Pascalides. We're going to dive right into our topics today, but before we do, I want to introduce something new to the show. We're going to be doing a book of the week every week. It will be the book that I am reading that week and something that I would like to recommend to my guests to read as well if I find it worthy to be recommended. This book right here, The Courage to Be Free by Ron DeSantis, it is his memoir. It is a very good book. I'm almost done with it. I encourage all my readers to go check it out. I love Ron DeSantis. He keeps Florida to be one of the last free states in America. But to dive right on into everything, let's go right for it. At the June 2025 NATO Summit, President Donald Trump did what no other U.S. president had the guts to do. He forced Europe to stop freeloading off the American taxpayer. For decades, NATO allies ignored spending targets, let their militaries rot, and expected the United States military to just carry the load. That ended the moment Donald Trump landed at the NATO summit. After months of pressure, Trump got NATO to agree to a historic new standard. 5% of GDP on defense spending by 2035 from every country. That's not just the old 2% lip service goal from Obama-era politics. This is a major escalation. 3.5% must go directly to core defense, ships, missiles, aircraft troops, and 1.5% to defense-adjacent infrastructure like roads, cybersecurity, homeland resilience. In other words, real money for real military capabilities, not hollow bureaucracy and waste, fraud, and abuse. Trump demanded these numbers, and he got them. He even made sure the deal was legally binding for every country, except for Spain, which buckled under pressure and negotiated a carve-out. Annual national plans will now be submitted and reviewed with progress reports due by 2029. No more vague pledges. Every country will have to show their receipts to Donald Trump and the United States taxpayer. And he didn't just stop there. Trump made it pretty clear that European countries can raise their budgets or face consequences. He floated tariffs, trade restrictions, military pullbacks if allies did not pay their fair share. And it worked. Within days, the EU adjusted fiscal rules to allow countries to overspend their budget limits to meet the 5% goal. The bloc also created a 150 billion euro arms fund. The message was clear. NATO is no longer a charity. It's a contract. While the global press talked about diplomacy and unity, Trump focused on results. He called the agreement a massive win for America and the American taxpayer. And he's right. If every country had hit the 5% mark in 2024, NATO would have spent $1.75 trillion, a $450 billion increase, and much of that will be spent on U.S. weapons, technology, and defense manufacturing. Trump did not just strengthen NATO, he created a pipeline to pour European money into American industry. For years, Trump warned NATO was weak, bloated, and falling behind, and now it's finally turning into what it should have been all along. A real serious alliance where everyone will pay their dues. And America doesn't get played. America didn't just attend the NATO summit, we reshaped the entire thing. It restructured the global balance of power. The 5% defense commitment he secured is the largest Western military mobilization since World War II. And the real story isn't just the size of the investment, it's what the investment represents. The total dominance of American leadership and leverage under Donald Trump. All these things will be manufactured in America by American companies. So let's break this down. Military turning NATO into a U.S. backhammer. NATO's new force posture is no longer symbolic. High readiness forces are being rapidly expanded, with hundreds of billions redirected to real hardware. Tanks, missiles, warships, drones, hypersonics, air defense. NATO is modernizing to fight 21st century wars, and it's doing so using American weapons, American defense systems. That means more U.S. jobs, U.S. exports, and American-made technology embedded across all of Europe's defense landscape. Every ally is now going to be stockpiling ammunition, investing in air and missile defense, and hardening cyber networks, and much of this spending will flow directly to Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, General Dynamics, and Boeing. Trump didn't just force NATO to rearm, he turned Europe into the newest customer base for U.S. defense and manufacturing. This is America First foreign policy in action. Our allies get stronger while our industries will grow way richer. Ukraine too benefits under this realignment. Trump's NATO has formally stated Ukraine's defense contributes to ours, which is code for ramping up weapons deliveries and surveillance systems without dragging America into an open-ended war. NATO countries now count Ukraine aid toward their defense quotas, a loophole Trump quietly supported because it means Europe foots more of the bill. Some of the economic impacts are Europe pays the tab, America reaps the rewards. So let's be blunt about it. Europe can't afford this without pain. They're drowning in welfare, their economies and aging populations are going down the hole. Now they're being forced to reallocate hundreds of billions annually into defense spending. It's tax hikes, spending cuts, or deficit explosions. All of it politically costly. But they agreed anyway. Why? Because Donald Trump left them no other option. The EU had to bend their knee. Brussels rewrote its fiscal rules to allow member states to blow past deficit caps by up to 1.5% of GDP just to meet Trump's 5% target. Germany, France, Italy, and others are now scrambling to fund military programs they delayed for decades. The US economy will get a major boost from this. This is a huge win for the United States. Trump insisted European allies prioritize American-made systems. He met with Zelensky as well during the summit to discuss co-producing drones, each using US tech. He pushed for European spending to be tied directly to purchases from US defense sector, and his administration made clear, if you want American protection, you buy American weapons. That's strength-based diplomacy, realigning the entire West around strength. NATO under Trump isn't the same old club of bureaucrats, think tanks, and wine and cheese summits. It's becoming a leaner, meaner, American-led security machine. Every major European leader left the summit echoing Trump's demands. In Britain, they called Trump a reliable partner. Dutch said Trump made NATO stronger, fairer, and more lethal. And even France, usually the loudest critic, admitted this was a new chapter. The United States did not bend to NATO. NATO bent to the United States. They bent to the American taxpayer, and some legacy media outlets tried to frame the summit as controversial, saying Trump's tone upset allies. Who cares? Results speak louder than tone. The reality is Trump extracted more real commitment from NATO in 1 week than Biden, Obama, and Bush did in 20 years combined. He used leverage, trade pressure, budget threats, even the implicit suggestion that America could just walk away. And he got everything he wanted, and that's negotiating from a point of strength and leverage. Spain was the lone holdout as well. Pedro Sanchez negotiated a 2.1% floor and spun it as still meeting capability needs. That's fine for them. Spain is going to be sidelined by the United States anyway. Trump made it clear this is a coalition of the serious, not the soft. Even domestically, Democrats tried to downplay Trump's win, but they couldn't stop the headlines. Republican leaders hailed the deal as proof that Trump gets things done. The White House dropped a recap video set to music highlighting Trump's dominance. It was a victory lap, and guess what? Donald Trump earned it. The Trump doctrine becomes NATO policy. No president in NATO's history, not Truman, not Reagan, not Bush, has forced a structural shift this massive. The old 2% goal was set in 2014, and it was mainly ignored. So by 2024, only 22 out of 32 countries even hit that mark. Trump tossed it aside and demanded 5%. He got it. This is the largest Western military spending surge since World War II. It formalizes the doctrine Trump's pushed since 2016 that allies must carry their own weight, pay their own dues, and stop mooching off the United States taxpayer. Now it's enshrined in NATO policy. This wasn't just a summit, it was an entire realignment of the Western world, a turning point. NATO now looks less like a welfare club and more like a coalition of actual serious nations led by America. That's proud, strong, and unapologetic from Donald Trump. And with that, the NATO summit wasn't just a foreign policy win, it was a blueprint for how Donald Trump is going to assert himself in foreign relations across the entire world. He didn't ask for consensus, he demanded results. He doesn't wait, he forces action. And when he says America leads, the rest of the world listens or gets left behind. While Trump was restructuring the global order back here at home, Florida was quietly building something just as crazy. Something that's already making headlines across the country. They're calling it Alligator Alcatraz. And it might be one of the boldest, craziest things they're doing in immigration, but I love it. This is happening in the Everglades, where Florida officials have launched what's being called Alligator Alcatraz, a remote detention facility deep in the swamp built to house criminal illegal immigrants awaiting deportation. It's not a hypothetical plan. This is underway. It's in Dade, Collier County. It's at the abandoned airport, a Cold War airstrip surrounded by 30 plus square miles of marshland and protected wildlife. The Attorney General for Florida announced the project, personally highlighting the natural deterrence Alligators, pythons, panthers. The swamp itself acts as a security perimeter with no new buildings, roads, or sewer infrastructure. The entire setup relies on tents, generators, and trailers. It's a fully mobile tent city designed for one purpose: to isolate and to hold the dangerous non-citizens away from populated areas. Construction for it began in late June, less than a week ago, and it was approved for federal approval just a week before that by Kristi Noem under the Trump administration. Florida's Division of Emergency Management mobilized crews immediately, bringing in heavy trucks, portable facilities. The goal is speed. They say the site will be operational by early July with up to 1,000 beds within 30 to 60 days. It's part of a broader state-led strategy, including a second facility at Camp Blanding, aiming to house 5,000 more criminal migrants across multiple sites by the end of the summer. And like everything else in 2025, liberals are freaking out about it. I love this. I think this is something that will keep Americans and Floridians safer. And it's actually hilarious as well. And anyone like me who's been to the Everglades before, you know that could be pretty dangerous for them to try and escape there. If you're in that prison, that's not going to be one you're going to try and escape from, because facing a Florida panther head on, or a Burmese python, or a 12-foot alligator who's a little hungry that day is not fun. Security is as taxpayer friendly as possible too. There's no walls or razor wire, just 10 trailers and the Everglades' own apex predators. There are some people who would think, oh, it's not going to be that bad of a deal. I'm just going to try and run. Again, try running from a Florida panther. See how that works for you. The Trump-aligned Department of Homeland Security, also led by Kristi Noem, gave rapid approval and FEMA dollars to this site. ICE will be responsible for delivering the detainees there, drawn primarily from those with criminal convictions or pending charges under federal immigration law. Early reports suggested that the National Guard will also supplement on-the-ground operations, providing personnel logistics support for what is essentially a federally funded, state-run ICE facility. Again, this is why I love Collier County. This is why I love Florida. It is time that the American taxpayer take those dollars back and spend them on things that actually need to happen, like this, like locking up these illegal immigrants. And social media clips have really racked up millions of views. The facility was jokingly described as Shawshank meet Jurassic Park. This is the return of real deterrence to illegal immigration. This is the way you scare them from coming in the country. If you come in this country and you get arrested, you will be surrounded by alligators, pythons, and panthers. That is a scary thought. I would not break into a country if I knew that. I wouldn't break into a country regardless, because I follow the law and I don't appreciate breaking other countries' laws, and I respect other countries' laws. That's the same reason I wouldn't go smoke weed in Russia, same reason I wouldn't just walk into North Korea. But this is the start of real deterrence. This is the start of America getting what we voted for. This is the start of the mass deportations, the mass arrests of the invasion that the Biden-Harris regime allowed to pour in. They overwhelmed our public school systems and public services. They took tax dollars from my pocket, from your pocket, and from all of the American people. They wasted FEMA's dollars, and like I've talked about, FEMA has not even filled claims from Katrina and from Fort Myers hurricanes in the last few years. FEMA is a corrupt agency, and it's time we're able to take those dollars back and spend them on things that actually help the American people, like getting rid of illegal immigrants in our country. It brings us to our next topic, a story that's quietly ripped the conservative influencer ecosystem wide open: the recent wave of paid attacks on Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens. And we'll look at who's funding them, who's speaking out, and what it says about the new political machine reshaping right-wing media from the inside. So let's call all this out what it really is. It's propaganda, it's money laundering. That's what these micro-influencers are doing when political campaigns, both Democrat and Republican, cut checks to social media nobodies to regurgitate the same pre-approved talking points in pretty much perfect. These aren't real voices rising from the people. They're paid actors pretending to be grassroots. And it's poisoning political discourse in this country. You've got these influencers with 10,000 to maybe 100,000 followers getting handed from 500 to 5,000 to mimic a post, whatever the party wants them to say. If they want to say Trump's bad, if they want to say Trump's good. But this week, they have been ganging up on Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson. And guess what? You'll never see it in their bio. You won't see it in these people's posts that they're paid ads or partnered content. You'll think that these are their actual beliefs if you don't actually understand that there are companies who pay people to just say these things. Shell companies, political action companies, ad agencies, middlemen, to evade the disclosure laws. They're flooding your feed with political content that's manufactured, rehearsed, designed to look authentic, and it's all fake. And then when Washington Post admits to millions are being funneled into these operations with scant regulatory oversight, that should terrify literally everybody. It's not marketing, it's narrative control and propaganda. It's the weaponization of social media algorithms. And Democrats really lead the way in these corrupt practices, and they're proud of it. They don't hide it at all. They constantly, you saw Democrats, 22 of them posted the exact same video, and those were all senators and congressmen. The Democrats have taken the blueprint for cultural subversion and scaled it to the 9th degree. Biden's favorite super PAC bragged about paying 150 influencers close to $1 million just to spam your TikTok and Instagram feeds with Vote Blue and Save Democracy slogans. They even branded it as a creator program, like they're running a Netflix pitch room or something. Next Gen Action is another leftist PAC. They spent $2 million on digital outreach, hundreds of paid protesters, flooding social media with rehearsed talking points. Most of these accounts never mention who's paying them. No disclaimers, no ethics, just pure manufactured content. This is the modern left. They don't win debates. They don't win on policy. They sure as hell don't win the hearts of Americans. They buy them. They carpet bomb your kids for you pages with government-funded propaganda, influencers reciting state-sanctioned scripts. And because it's chopped up like meme content, most people never even realize it. And the right does it too. Again, it's not just the left, but they do it with less strategy. Conservatives are one of the biggest and worst parts of this. Conservative influencers will target other conservative influencers. Like I said, people going at Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens right now, and it's mainly people in the conservative base saying they hate America, that they've gone back on everything they used to stand for, and that they are just lost and that they're propagandists. But in reality, the people who are being paid to push these messages are obviously the real propagandists. This is why the America First movement is so good and so simple. We don't need scripts, we don't need handlers, and we sure as hell don't need to be bribed to stand up for this country. The people pushing this movement do it because we believe in it, not because of a super PAC or because of a payout. We believe that Americans should be first in America, that our government has a duty to protect and serve us over foreign citizens, that our tax dollars should not be wasted, and that we should get a say in the way our tax dollars are spent. Our tax dollars are being wasted. It's waste, fraud, and abuse. They're literally spending our tax dollars to see how much alcohol you have to give a Japanese quail until it has sex with another one. Or if you give a fish tequila or rum, what will make it fight more? Or if you chop a beagle's head off, what will another beagle do? These are the things our government is literally funding. When you see someone talking about God, family, borders, and sovereignty on their timeline, and it actually sounds like they mean it, they're not reading off a paycheck. We're in this because we have to be, because this country is being eaten alive by corporate-funded phonies cosplaying as patriots and activists. This influencer program is bigger than just politics. It's a full-blown crisis, and if we don't start exposing the fake ecosystem on both sides, we'll lose the country to scripted shills one post at a time. Coordinated smear campaigns, the Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson allegations just show how rotten the system has truly gotten. It shouldn't be that hard to just get back to a common sense America where we're not paying influencers to repeat points they don't mean, where we're not paying people to spread misinformation about other people just because you don't like them, where we're not allowing foreign lobbyists to infiltrate our government, where we're not allowing other countries to take advantage of us, where we're not allowing illegals to break over our border and not expect consequences. These are America First policies. These are basic common sense policies. In America, we need to put Americans first, American taxpayers first, American citizens first, not the citizens of other countries, not asylum seekers who violated our sovereignty and abused the asylum program, not the terrorists, not anyone who's not American. We need to be supporting Americans. We need to be supporting American infrastructure, American jobs, American economy, no new wars in foreign nations, and we need to support American sovereignty. That means deporting the illegals, setting up these jails like Alligator Alcatraz, and removing the Twitter bots on Twitter who are literally taking money to push propaganda. That should be a huge problem and something that is illegal in politics in this country. If you took out all forms of lobbying in politics, you would see a lot less people would go into politics because there would be a lot less corrupt people who want to get in the industry. A lot of people get into politics because they know how corrupt it is and because they know they can get rich. If you take lobbying out of it and that's not able to happen, then there will be a lot better people who want to get into politics. And not only that, we'll see better outcomes of politics because we won't have foreign nations and we won't have these undercover companies who are posing as lobbyists, trying to push their agenda to the political party that they're throwing money at. You can't throw $100 million to a candidate so that we will go defend you in a war, but that's exactly what happened with Israel. They also threw $100 million towards Kamala in case she got elected. These are things in our government that need to be rooted out immediately. These are problems in our government that if they're not rooted out within the next 5 years, we'll start seeing a steep decline in our country. I'm James Pascalides. This has been America Unfiltered, episode 77. I'm signing off today. I hope you guys have a blessed day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you.